I'm Brittany Lewis, a breaking news reporter here at Forbes. Joining me now is Lynette Guastaferro, CEO of Teaching Matters. Lynette, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
We have a really important conversation. As you know, school started back in New York City last week, and this comes as the Big Apple's dealing with an influx of migrants. New York City Mayor Eric Adams announced last month the city has provided care for over 100,000 asylum seekers since spring of 2022. And now over 19,000 school-aged migrants reportedly enrolled to attend school this year. As an education professional, when you hear that number, what do you think?
So I think that 19,000 is a significant number of students that are coming and that the system has to carefully plan for to ensure that they have the kinds of supports around English language learning, other kinds of, mental health supports. But I also kind of want to remind listeners that we have 140,000 English language learners in the system now out of close to 1 million students. And so we do have an infrastructure, at least in our education system, designed to provide free education programs for dual language learners. We have a whole high school system called the Internationals that are designed specifically for newcomers. And so we do. New York has always been educating. We are the education system designed for folks that come to us from many places. So I don't want to understate the planning and logistical support that's necessary. But 19,000 out of 140,000 is about 12%. And that can stress any system, but it is not an impossible number. I think the issue is longer term, but I think we can plan for that this year effectively.
So right now you're saying that this isn't reaching necessarily a crisis level. So are the classrooms prepared? Because as you're saying, they had these infrastructures in place.
So I think the challenge is ensuring that, when you come new to a country, how do you know where to go? So I know there have been services provided to families to counsel them about school and about services. But, it's coming into a new system for anybody, never mind coming from another country. New York City schools, every parent can respect the challenge of navigating New York City public schools. And so I think my bigger concern is how do students land in those schools that really have the supports for them? And the good news is most schools in New York have support for English language learners. I think 87% of our high schools support English language learners. So, again, the first thing is, are we getting them into schools that are set up to support them? And then are we getting those schools the additional resources that they may need in order to support those students? One thing I want to remind listeners is that New York has seen a decline in enrollment, and that's with the charter schools, that's with the public schools, that's with the Catholic schools. Like, we have had a decline in students in the city, and so the good news is there are spaces and schools that require students just for funding. So there is the ability here I think that you're going to find some schools that are really eager to take in new students because they are looking to fill their enrollments. But I don't want to say that there's not I think the mayor is talking long term here. When he talks about the crisis, he's using numbers that are, over the next few years, this is what this will look like, and we will get to a crisis. So he's raising the alarm bells for the future. He's not talking about like this immediate second when it comes at least to education.